Hello, dear listeners. So that's me again, Stefan. Who doesn't remember? I work in ABM. I've been in the ABM space for more than a decade now. I help companies revitalize their ABM. In particular, one service that I sell is rekindling the dead zone, dead account that nobody wants to touch. Um, some of my successes have been scaling company from 6 to 18 millions. And overall, with ABM, I've created more than $100 million in pipeline. So today I have a wonderful guest, and he's gonna intro himself. And it's the thing which we're gonna talk about today it's an important topic with not a lot of urgency, but which is so important because there is just stay tuned actually to the event, and then we'll delve into that with Adam. Adam, the microphone is yours.
Yeah, I'll be quick. Just great to be on. You and I have had a few conversations. I'm expecting this to be a lot of fun. My background launched an agency 12 years ago out of Chicago. And about a year ago, I think all of us are asking what will AI mean for us and what's possible. So decided to jump in to solve a problem that we've had for 12 years. Every one of our B2B clients have had. I also have a podcast. I've interviewed 100 marketing leaders. They all have had, which is where you set stuff in a dead zone in the CRM. Dead zones where it's not marketing, it's not sales. Leads go dormant, proposals go dormant, relationships go dormant. How the heck do we bring them back? That's the intro.
I have no idea. Why don't we talk about this? So let's say we have uh, a lot of accounts which we have to rekindle, right? So somebody needs to have ownership of it. So for me, this is person like pricing. Nobody owns pricing in the end. It's like it's so important what our pricing is, but in teams that I've worked with, pricing either stays on the product table, and product is like, no, 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 no. This is sounds like a sales problem. Sales is like more like, oh wait, you know what? I don't want to deal with this because it's like it's more of a product problem. And there is like marketing in between, which is sort of like, okay, well, let's push it to marketing, and then marketing has to fight in between sales and product. Let's talk about rekindling accounts. So I have a framework where I go through accounts that are sort of like that, or nothing is going on, and then I put them in clusters. So I tier one accounts, obviously you'll need to rekindle them manually. So that's like one approach. Then there is tier two, tier three accounts, which and then the priority can change in any minute depending on the lead score. So you might have some incoming third party signals such as like hiring, firing, somebody change positions, maybe they have the round of funding. All of that influences the tiers and the clusters that you're going to put all these like accounts into. So like if you want to rekindle, let's say tier two account, but you got a lead like a lead scoring, your lead scoring is telling you that you got maybe someone actually reach out to you, then that's going to increase that from tier two to tier one, right? But I'm doing that all manually. But thankful now there is this tool coming from Adam. And Adam, would you be so kind to show us around the tool? I think this is phenomenal, right? It's a zone that a lot of companies have put a lot of money into all those dead leads. Imagine if your cost of acquisition, we're talking about enterprise, would be, let's give a ballpoint figure, like let's say 5K per account that you spend acquiring, and then it's like you have 10 accounts, you just spent 50K that nobody's touching. And here's the solution.
So, Stefan, why don't we first talk briefly about accountability? Who should own it?
Okay, let's do that. Who
And
owns it?
then, right, let's begin who owns it. And one more clarification point. Let's all of us agree what it is we're talking about. It's relationships that are sitting dormant, people that have connected with you.
Yeah.
It's not cold. I keep saying this, I may say it a few more times. It's not cold. They're in your CRM. Let's be even more specific. It's a past customer or someone who went quiet after proposal.
Yeah.
Okay. Who owns that? Let's look at three candidates: marketing, sales, or rev ops or marketing ops as one. Ops. Okay. So I'm going to dismiss at the moment ops because it's not an operations only element. I'm only going to look at two candidates, marketing and sales. I, in the beginning, thought, Stefan and anyone watching, it's sales. So I went to sales folks and I said, hey, it's up to you to, there was a proposal 10 months ago. Go ahead and revive it. Well, what are they going to do? How do they revive it? Well, they can follow up, they can call, they can message. Is that the right approach? What should be done? What is the right playbook? And Stefan, you got to tell me if I'm going too deep, pull me out, but I'm going to keep going with what should be done. I propose a new marketing category is needed to solve this problem. What is the playbook to resolve a dormant relationship activation? One, if you're reaching out, you better be reaching out because something is happening in their world. LinkedIn post, that you notice something. The word is signal, but we all immediately think buying intent signals, a nurturing signal. Not intent. It's something is observable. They published a LinkedIn post. They were just nominated for awards. Do we not care about that? I'll show one of our first case studies. Once you see that, a nurturing signal, what happens next? Add value to them. You got to add value. What piece of content have you created? What do you have to say to them? And the third piece is if they submitted a proposal, or you submitted a proposal 6 months ago, or you met at a conference and you don't mention that context, why would they respond? It has to be a nurturing signal, a piece of content adding value, and the context. And this is very difficult. So let's go back to who owns it. Who owns content creation in the organization? Marketer.
Yeah,
because, because of that piece, we believe the dead zone is a marketer problem. And the solution is not possible because of technologies like ours in the category of signal activated growth. I'm off my soapbox, Stefan. Now you tell me, are there follow-up questions that you've got in mind? Or should I go into showing a little bit on here's the technology behind it?
I think you're right. So, I was intrigued before this webinar we had, and then I went to an event. It was on Thursday, and I asked 3 revenue leaders. It's like, hey guys, so like that accounts, what do you guys do about this? And then once told me, it's like, look, when I first came into the company, they had $32 million in pipeline. Okay, sounds cool. He said 20 million out of it was like fake deals. I'm like, what do you mean like by fake deals? He says, well, I went through them and then I asked my salespeople to call through all of these deals and then see which ones are dead, which one is like made up and stuff. And out of 32 million, 20 million were like dead deals or deals that sales were, they were writing in HubSpot that, oh, something is happening, and in fact nothing was happening. It just, they were getting their sales commission. They were not interested in moving the deal along, and I get that because like the percent, like first of all, you have as someone working in sales, you have a sales quota, so you got to go after new accounts. But the old accounts, usually, it takes so much time to research, to find new points of contact, because we know in accounts every six months, and we're talking about enterprise, every 6 months the decision-making committee changes. So you ideally have to reach out, redistribute, rebuild the new connection with someone else, and that takes time. Obviously, sales is not really interested in that. Then they say, okay, how about like field marketing does it, or like marketing does it? Marketing is completely oblivious of this. They have no clue of like how to work with sales. They are way too strategic for that. And then in between these two categories, you probably have revenue operations, but those, they're mostly revenue operations. They're mostly reliant on existing leads, or they work with whatever operations you already have. So this is like a dead zone. All these like leads that are dead in your CRM, they sort of they sit on your quota, but nobody does anything about them. Neither RevOps nor sales. like marketing is oblivious. Let's forget about product, because product is not involved here. You might have a little bit of customer success in there, but I mean, customer success, let's face it, they're not salespeople. They just want to do the expansions and
And you know what? Just in the defense of everyone involved here, marketing and sales, the SOW to solve this up until today, if you were to do this with human hours, it's not possible. There's no ROI. It's difficult. This is a gruesome work. Go research the person, figure out what to say to them, how you know them, compile it into a gorgeous message that will resonate. And don't mess this up because it's people we know.
yeah, I mean, I think that's logical, right?
So, what's next, Stefan? What's most helpful?
I say let's see the solution. How do we solve all these problems? I think we have digged enough into like that this is a dead zone. In your experience, okay, so you've done, I guess, a ton of case studies. How how much lost? Okay, how much money are we looking into? So let's say you take a case and you say, okay, so we've I don't know, we reopened worth of, I don't know, 500,000 of deals, right? And that's like sort of, you can put those deals into like new revenue, because technically this is new revenue on which you haven't spent any cost of acquisition, because your cost of acquisition was way back in 2025, 24, or whenever these deals were. In your experience, what's the best cases? What do they show in terms of like the deal? And then let's see your platform. Like, how does it solve this problem that we're all involved in?
Great. So first clarification, we're in beta. This is week 4 of beta. We've actually built a playbook on our website under activation guide where you can do exact math you just described. Put in your industry, based on our early signals, we will do the calculations. But here's an example of one of our success stories. It's a perfect thing that we've been talking about. 10 months ago, a proposal was issued and the person just went dormant. Our system said, okay, this is the lead that's sitting in your CRM. There was a signal. This individual was, the company was nominated on Inc. list top 50 for their industry. We drafted a message that said, congratulations, it was timely. We used one of the pieces of content from this user on our end, and we sent it to their review, and they got a response within 7 minutes.
Wow.
And a $400,000 proposal is now being signed. Now, I don't have enough data to tell you, hey, here is how many and what percentages are. We only have 20 companies that are currently in beta. We're exiting beta here in the next couple of weeks. And we will be publishing our case studies. I can also tell you one of many users is my son, who is a video production company, and he sent 100 messages to his dormants and received 7 responses and closed 2 deals. But it's obvious. It shows that you care. You're not just sending a quick email saying, hey, let me sell to you. It's an email that says, hey, I see what's happening in your world, right? I pay attention to these nurturing signals, and let me add value to you. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the platform, but I can't see you, so you can interrupt me if there's a question or you want me to redirect.
No, I just made it clear. I will just screen share your screen, so everybody can see your screen.
Beautiful. You know what I just realized? You probably can't see my platform, so let me reshare the platform. There we go. Let me know when you can see it.
I'm putting it in a second. All right, cool. I can see it. Yeah.
Perfect. So I'll walk through the high level, and then we'll see if you can guide any questions. But our starting point is really tell us what the dormant relationships are. Import them. Either native with HubSpot, where you can enter your segments or your pipelines, or CSV. We're working on Salesforce, and we already have requests for different other CRMs. Once we have your dormants, we begin monitoring signals. We won't notify you unless a signal is detected. Without a signal, there's no reason to reach out. I'll say it again. Without a signal, there's no reason to reach out. Once we detect the signal, we draft a message and we send it for your review, and you get an email from us saying there's a message ready. How do we think about nurturing signals? Well, we've got a growing directory, or you can create a custom nurturing signal. When I say custom signal, think about it this way. If you hired an analyst and you said to that analyst, go look on LinkedIn, go look on their website, go look at press releases, go look at everything. And you said to them, look for the following things. That's what we call a custom signal. For instance, we have companies that are catering in the safety space. Well, look for incidents. Look for incidents. Look for liabilities, lawsuits. Here are the things to look for. So once that signal is detected, our system then says, okay, what content did our user upload, either case studies statically or dynamically? Hard for me as the founder to look at these pages because we have new designs on the way. I'm like, go faster, go faster. Because I already see some things. I'm like, we got to improve it. Folks are asking. We've logged in over 500 feature requests in the first 4 weeks of our platform being live. 500. Anyway, so our system goes, okay, signal detected, governance, a lawsuit being filed. What is the best piece of content to share? We then send an email to our user, and the user then comes to our platform to say, okay, I'm ready to review the messages. So this is a message that is currently sitting in my platform, waiting for me to review. And what I'm going to, again, be brief. I want to be careful not to slide into too many things under the hood. But if you like this message, just click launch. You're done. If you don't like this message, and this was created based on your brand voice and tone, if you don't like this message, you have 3 options. You could just type and change it, just like you would an email. You can also call a chat GPT-like or Claude-like function where you can change this message with shortcuts or say anything, drop anything below, like a transcript. Or this is our true engine here. You can get pretty objective about the signals. So here's an individual, Julian, and I click on the signals. Our platform detected a ton of signals. This is old. Analyst report a couple of years ago. This award is a little old. Case study is a little bit better. Company shared a custom quote. That was a month ago, just a little under. Last year featured in the publication. This is old, leadership change. The system shows a new blog being published. That's actually the best choice, I would agree. What is my goal of this message? Do I drive interaction, get a reply? No, I want to schedule a meeting. All right. Schedule a meeting it is. What is the content being used? All right, well, let's see. This is my library. The system decided that the podcast is best. I actually agree. What is the relationship context? So if it's in the CRM, we'll bring it in. But if it's not in the CRM, you enter it here. So this isn't accurate, but let's do this as an example. We met at a conference, look at me type, by the bar and had a few laughs about the speaker. He was awesome. All right. So now I look at all of my nurture summary. I like the signal, the goal makes sense, the content makes sense. This is the context. I'm ready to refresh the sequence. And we'll notice the system is looking at relevance. So it looks at the signal, the goal, the content, the context to let our user know how good is it, how likely is it to resonate. We are regenerating the message now based on the brand voice and tone, based on all of the previous feedback provided. Every week, we look at the feedback provided by our users in order to improve the system. And any questions so far? Looks like we got some traffic on our side. This is taking its time. If it takes another few seconds, I may move to another screen just to keep the demo going.
It's okay, but that's good news, right? You have traffic. In terms of questions, tell me more about how do you segment do you have any segmentations per tiers, and how do you segment overall? Maybe if there's any lead scoring there. So I have a lot of questions there, but like maybe.
Yeah. So let's talk about what we called ICP groups, could also be called segmentation, is really the idea that if someone wants to group leads so that we improve signal to content relevance. Right? That's all that matters for our platform. Signal to content relevance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you import, as I mentioned, safety, and you have in safety manufacturing, in manufacturing, signals for safety could be different than they are in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
We introduced an ICP groups, where you're looking at now, and then on every screen, you can now say, hey, these signals belong to the following ICP group. This content belongs to the following ICP group. And of course, every lead is assigned to a particular ICP group. That's how we segment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I like it. And now, in terms of, I have another question. So I saw, so here comes a very interesting trick. In a lot of cases, the close last reason is very evasive. So salespeople don't really, when it's closed last, they write some BS and then they close the lead. And basically organizing these leads by closed last. Let's say you want to create segments based on the closed last reason. Can we do something like that in your software? And how do you handle overall this problem? Maybe when there is when the closed last reason is unavailable or it's not clear, or can you actually create a segment based on the closed last reason?
Yeah, I'm going to try to keep it brief. That's such a good question. So first, ICP grouping could segment by any reason, because you just import the leads based on this group is close lost budget. And that becomes your segment. However, you also asked, how do you handle this? Well, as of right now, as people are onboarding on a platform, we've been asking ourselves, what is the difference? Why they were lost? What's the difference? Because our platform, do you want to nurture them or do you not?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to nurture them, we are not pitching anything. We're nurturing them to catch a reason, perfect timing to reach out to add value.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference if they were lost because of another vendor, or they were lost because of the budget, or because they changed their mind, delayed the project? It doesn't matter. So as of right now, I don't have a single use case where the segmentation on our platform is happening because of a close. In fact, I would argue even further, does it matter if you met them at a conference or that they used to be a customer? Does that matter? Does that mean you're not going to care as much about nurturing them, or you will nurture differently?
These are all valid questions, right? So it's all up to the person who's gonna drive this to think about how do they strategically, what's the strategy behind, right? So how do they group these segments, correct?
Exactly. And we think the only what matters most is how you group them to add the most value to them, which is about signal to content relevance. It's not about you. It's not about how you've cataloged them. It's about them. And when we say it's up signal to content relevance, it's because that is ultimately the value of your message. And when you say it's up to the person, I want to keep clarifying, and I'm subject to future change of our point of view. I'm saying it's up to the marketer, because the seller, the salesperson, is our sender. They'll review the message, but let the marketer deal with everything to make it amazing instead of the marketer. Like, Stefan, here's a fun question: who owns sequences in their organizations? Right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. That was very funny.
So
I don't know. I don't know who owns. Depends on the organization, but usually it's pardon my English, shit show. So a ton of people and nobody actually owns it.
I suggest it's the marketer. If the organization has one, marketers, if you're listening to this, be brave to own the dead zone. Now that you have a solution like us, or build something like this.
Adam, sorry, we have a question here from the audience, and then Yakir Hussein is saying, "Thanks for hosting. Excited to learn what's working right now for turning dead into re-engage. Do you have any maybe short playbook that you're seeing that works across industries or anything like that that you're seeing work, like bulletproof case?"
Yeah, so I would turn our attention to a couple things. One is our activation guide. We have a blog where we literally share everything. You can learn about our platform, but playbook right here. If you fill this out, you will receive from us a playbook for your industry with a plan, a 12-week plan included with what we see as best practice signals, the content we recommend. But ultimately, without being sophisticated or complicated, keep it simple. Your entire objective is to add value to that dormant lead. That's it. And the only way you can do that is because you catch them at the right time, something that happens in their world. Now, the other thing we haven't talked about, Stefan, which I think this question alludes to a little bit, you got to create great content. If you have nothing to say, you're a salesperson. So I hope that answered it. And if it didn't, let me know. I'll go deeper.
I think it did answer, because look, in my experience, we as marketers overthink what works in sales, and we overthink, like we come with all these like very expensive strategies and all these hypotheses. Meanwhile, for rekindling old leads, you have to look what's happening in their world, and then the message has to be quite simple, to be honest, right? Just you look at the
Exactly.
silent, you look at the silent, you make a sequence, and then if the sequence is there, you'll rekindle the account, you'll open it up, right? Don't overthink it, like exactly what you're saying.
But add value.
Well, of course, add value.
Add value. Say something that is helpful to them. And which signals and how do you add value? I think the playbook could be helpful for some folks. They can read on our homepage or our blog. We'll share more and more. We'll be very, very transparent in the coming months on what we're seeing working, because this is a brand new marketing industry. Anyone listening in, Google signal activated growth. Do you agree with the name? Do you agree with the marketing category? If it is, at some point there was no PLG, there was no GTM.
Yeah,
None of these things existed. At some point, they became a thing because the problem was big enough to demand it. We propose that this problem is big enough to demand its own name.
exactly, exactly. Because once you start uncovering those dead leads, you figure out that you have, like, no new sales, right? It's like that you don't need to spend money on, just the cost of Mabbly. And Mabbly is free, by the way, guys, so feel free to get a pilot with Adam.
Come check it out. If you're looking to pilot it, you can check out we just updated our plans, but really it's all about free activation. We're learning as well in that process. If you've got up to 200 dormant relationships you want to bring on the platform, and we'll rock it with you and provide all of the support and learn from you. Feedback is a gift. As I was saying in the beginning of the conversation, we've logged in over 500 feature requests. We want more. We want feedback. It's a gift.
So okay, just to, like, I know you gotta go after this.
I actually fine. My meeting was rescheduled, so we're good as long as you need.
Okay, my question is, how would you coin this? Like, we need a name for this. How would you give it a name?
Well, the name would be signal activated growth, and I just mentioned.
Mhm.
I just mentioned that in '90s go to market was born, right? ABM somewhere up to early 2000s. PLG we started talking about a little bit ago. I think this last year is the first time we mentioned signal activated growth. I think it's the name for a marketing category to solve the dead zone. It's big. It's really, really big. I've talked to hundreds of organizations. How much revenue is sitting in our CRMs? How much? How much? What are we talking about? What multiple cheaper is it to reactivate someone you already know, rather than spend endless cycles, endless on top of funnel?
Let me come with some data. So, more according to the research made, well, 2025 end of the year, you got probably around 60% of your deals. They die not because they go to a competitor or whatever happens. They die because of indecision, right? You have all these like huge buyer committees who, death by a committee. You could write a comedy based on that.
Yes, you can.
And then let's say you have 50% of your pipeline is that anyway. So, and then next year you sort of like you forget about it, and then you start working on acquisition from scratch. So let's say if your pipeline is give you an example, like 50 million, right? So 25 you lose because you cannot close that. And then next year, let's say even if you recover, let's say 20 or 30% of that, it's already a big, right? Woo. You can show growth to your investors. You can grow, to your board.
Sorry, I was just giving you some visuals.
Okay, let's look into that. Cold outreach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you compare cold to warm, the response rates, it's the difference is day and night. Obviously, if done right. We're talking about a 5 to 8x response rate, and on this is part of our blog post, and I have all of the sources. They looked at over 16 million emails, LinkedIn, and other platforms from a channel standpoint. And soon we'll be publishing our data. In the coming months, I'll have enough to publish. But it's stark. The problem has always been warm is very difficult to formulate that email. It's too much to think about. Up until today, without AI, we couldn't do it.
I mean, this is crazy. Like, I think that the problem is so big that it requires its own name. By the way, as a side note, so there is this influencer I follow. Her name is Demand Jen Ellen Knuth. She talks a lot about like fighting the status quo, because we were talking about like new deals, right? So you want to sell to an enterprise level company, then in many cases it's not the competitor that you have to beat. You have to beat the status quo, and beating the status quo, it's again that 50-60% of indecisiveness that you have to beat. And then if the sales cycle is very long, very often salespeople they're like to their, well, I working with salespeople, I can say not all of them are very strategic, and then at some point you will be like, they'll just give up. They'll give up on this nurturing. They'll put a closed last reason to a deal just because they just don't have enough patience to deal with it, right? And then marketing is like, okay, well, sales market is closed last. We're not gonna deal with it. And then marketing stops. You stop marketing to that company. Meanwhile, it's still an opportunity, right? You just need to have more patience, more intent, and in this case, like something semi-automated or automated as Mabbly, I think it is a godsend here.
Thank you, Stefan. That's how we feel. We want to solve this problem. We want marketers to be heroes.
Yeah, so it just I think marketing stays away from these problems because it's like, oh, it sounds like a sales problem and I don't want to deal with it, just because it feels a little bit, because it feels too personal, I would say. Most marketers, they don't talk to customers. Sales at the sales at the same time, they don't really want to talk. They don't want to talk to inactive customers. So they want engagement, they want stimuli, they want all of that sort of stuff. So when a deal comes, which is like it stops engagement, they drop it to the marketing for like it's like, oh, this is to the marketing department. And the marketing department, first of all, does not have all the input, because I know how salespeople fill in their CRMs, uh, and yeah, well,
You know what you made me think of and clarify for the audience listening in.
yeah,
Marketers are usually in one-to-many communication.
oh, yeah, Chris, yes,
Sales is one-to-one.
yes,
But we're creating a bridge in which marketing can now enable sales to have one-to-one with extreme personalization. So now a marketer could create a piece of content that's game-changing. And that content can now appear in one-to-one personalization from sales. But sales will be the ones to review every message and spend 30 seconds and click go.
yeah. I think this is what you can call it sales marketing enablement or sales enablement. I don't know how you can call this, right? But
Mhm.
this could be, if this is as easy as it sounds, then it could solve a lot of growth for a ton of companies, like from all the Inc. 500, or whatever it is.
We're ready. We're coming to solve this problem, and we won't be the only ones. I welcome others to join this category. Signal activated growth. It's the problem is so big and it's causing so much pain for marketers and sales. The alignment between those two groups. Oh my goodness. So yeah, let's go fix this. Fix the dead zone.
We have a case here coming from Stefan Thunwald, a great consultant. We worked together when I was working in pharma. He says the great solution. I see a likely use case in pharma. Next to the occasion you describe dead leads, there is an opportunity to identify opportunities, connect and resonate with, let's say, unscheduled calls. He's interested in a deep dive, but unscheduled calls, like, again, we actually didn't touch it, but there's a ton of opportunities, such as when the call never happens, but there is still interest. Sales does 1, 2, 3 follow-ups and then forget it, a la poubelle. They put it into the trash. And but this is like a solution. You just find the right trigger and you continue following up.
I'm thinking, Stefan, thank you. A use case in pharma, you're so right. I have not had anyone in pharma think about the dead zone, and you've identified another moment in that journey where basically a scheduled call doesn't happen, right? That's where they drop.
Yep.
And when we're saying maybe the first couple of follow-ups should be about the call, but then once that ends, maybe then it becomes a dormant, didn't show up for call segment. I love it. Thank you, Stefan. Yeah, and by all means, please reach out. Let's connect and go a little deeper on that use case.
I'll connect Stefan with you. We're good friends. All right, cool. Awesome, Adam. Thank you so much for. I don't have any more questions. I think I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we can do another session in a few months when you're gonna have even more case studies and okay. Then I'm gonna be following your journey. I personally am going to use your product in discussions with clients because I see this as a undervalued segment. And thank you guys, everyone, for giving questions. Stay in touch. I'll send you the recording after this and get a demo with Adam. The product is a pilot right now. Free to use, free to open, dormant accounts, free revenue, basically. Who says no to free revenue? Nobody. So
I appreciate you having on. Appreciate the questions that came in. Let's solve the dead zone together.
thank you so much.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.